welcome to a new video. I hope that you are staying safe and healthy, and in this video I am painting watermelons. Before starting the tutorial, I'm going to quickly go over the materials. I am using my Winsor & Newton watercolor brushes, my Montmartre watercolor set, my medium-sized Chinese brush, my Canson 300 GSM mixed media sketchbook, and black ink. To begin, I sketched in the outline of the different watermelons I wanted to paint. In this video, I chose to paint a whole watermelon, a half slice, and then 2 triangle slices. This helps with making sure everything could fit on the page and is a good guide for painting. When I was happy with the outline, then I gently rubbed it out so that it was quite faint, as I can't rub it out once I add the paint. I began from top to bottom, so with the whole watermelon, using clean water, I pre-wet the area within the outline, making sure that it is thoroughly wet but without any puddles as always. And then with a light green, I painted in the whole area as a light wash. Don't worry about this being perfectly even, as this is the first layer and we'll be painting on top. With a darker green, I painted in the dark lines of the watermelon rind with my small round brush with curved lines that connect to each end of the watermelon. I went over the lines on the right half as the second layer. I also painted in between the lines with the same light green as before to make it darker. Using a smaller brush to do this will help to give you more control with the paint, so I am only using my thicker Chinese brush for larger areas. Because the left half of the watermelon was drying, I decided to let it completely dry before continuing painting in layers on top of the base layer. So I began to paint the half slice. So again, I used my thicker brush to pre-wet the area with clean water. This doesn't have to be with a Chinese brush, it's just that this is one of my bigger brushes suitable for covering my page quicker. So any reasonable big watercolor brush will do to pre-wet your watermelons. Next, I used my small brush to add my light and dark green to the curved edge, which will be the rind. I also used my Chinese brush to wet the page again in the areas it had dried, but making sure not to touch where I had added the green paint. Add a little paint at a time with the green so that it doesn't bleed too much, and you want to do the same when you add your red paint in the middle. I got a little too excited and added too much paint, so if you've done what I have, then clean your brush, dry it on a towel, and then use your brush to soak up the excess paint so that there is still some white between the red and green paint. Closest to the straight line, I added more red paint and dabbed the paint so that it was slightly uneven, so it will give a more natural look. If you haven't already, don't forget to subscribe for weekly Saturday videos. I also love reading comments from you guys. It really makes me happy to know if you found my tutorials helpful, so comment down below which watermelon you like the best and how your watermelon paintings are coming along. Okay, back to the video. Then I moved on to the triangle slices. Using the same steps, I pre-wet the page with clean water, making sure to keep within the pencil lines, and added my red paint unevenly. I added 2 reds. My darker red was a scarlet, and then the warmer red was scarlet mixed with orange yellow. Try to add your paint so that it is quite saturated, so that you don't have to do a second layer. Since the other sides of the slice are right next to each other, I need to wait till one side is completely dry before moving on to the next area. and I repeated the same steps for the other triangle. However, with the right triangle, I wanted this to be more faint just to give another option to try out. So it's the same, but I added less paint and added the paint in the spots that I wanted it to be the darkest. With the rind, add the lighter green first and then the darkest green at the very edge. I went back to the whole watermelon, which I think was the hardest to do because I wasn't sure how I wanted it to look. But I added the second layer to the left half, making the watermelon darker by going over it again with the same colors. But for the middle, I added less paint so that it was lighter to give the melon a slight highlight. I also added blue to the darkest shadows and yellow ochre to some areas on the lighter green. Once I did this, I later thought that I didn't want it to look too soft and neat, so when the melon was dry with the darker green, adding more paint than before, I made the lines of the rind more darker and jagged and uneven, but making sure to make the lines thinner closer to where the highlight was. And then that is the whole watermelon done. For the half watermelon slice, once it is completely dry, then it is time to add the seeds, which I used black ink to paint. I paint them quite small and teardrop shaped with the pointed end facing the straight edge, but positioning the seeds so that it is curved and not lined up. And that is the watermelon done. Now for the triangle slices, once the one side is done, then I painted in the rind side, pre-wetting it and adding the light green and then the dark green, making jagged lines, and painting in the seeds. The side of the watermelon is the exact same method, but I decided whether I was going to make it lighter or darker than the other red side to give a soft three-dimensional look. And I chose not to paint seeds on this side. And that is all the watermelons done. Thank you so much for watching. I would really appreciate it if you liked this video and subscribe for weekly Saturday videos where I paint flowers, animals, landscapes and other watercolor related videos. And as always, God bless and I'll see you later.